Thank you, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the 700 Club. We're delighted to have everybody with you, with us, and we're delighted to have you with us, too.
Plus, in the early 1980s, this film made the Amityville horror a household word.
We had substances seeping out of keyholes, toilet bowls that turned black, furniture that moved, windows that blew in, flies that appeared out of nowhere.
Well, how much of the movie is Hollywood and how much is real? The real Kathy Lutz answers that question on today's 700 Club.
Well, for 28 days, the woman in our next story lived a non-stop nightmare. You've heard it in a movie called the Amityville Horror. But for years after that, she and her family endured the torment of relentless publicity. Now, for the first time in 9 years, Kathy Lutz separates fact from fiction in this exclusive interview with reporter Paul Petit.
It's the story of a modern-day haunted house that in 1979 caught the nation by storm. To Kathy Lutz, it was a real-life nightmare that pushed her to the edge of insanity, a nightmare that came to be known as the Amityville Horror. Kathy and ex-husband George Lee Lutz say their Long Island home was cursed with an inexplicable evil. The Amityville Horror is the story of their terrifying experience. But just how much of the film is true and how much is Hollywood? Kathy Lutz, in her first interview in 9 years, says it was frighteningly all too real.
The extremes of some of the happenings, like the substance coming from the keyholes, was not to the extent that they portrayed it. The finale of the movie, where you have all this gop coming out, that's not accurate. But as far as experiences, we had substances seeping out of keyholes, toilet bowls that turned black, furniture that moved, windows that blew in, flies that appeared out of nowhere, and not one or two. We're in the month of January. There's ice outside, and you've got 30, 40 house flies on one window. Things of that nature, yeah. They did a good job. And each night, something terrifying took place. Front door, which was an oversized solid wood door, blew out. Not blew in, it blew out. And there was no physical explanation for it. That was checked out by the police. That was checked out by repairmen. You couldn't explain it. I thought I was losing my mind.
After a 28-day-long nightmare, the family literally fled their home with only the clothes on their back. Parapsychology experts later documented many of the phenomena. What followed was a flood of unwanted publicity. In order to dispel false rumors and set the record straight, the Lutzes sold book rights to their story, which was later made into a movie. Soon, Kathy found herself trapped in a promotional glut that refused to allow her to escape her horrifying past.
Yeah, sometimes I've said it's like an operation that left an ugly scar. And if you keep picking it open, it's not going to heal.
The Lutzes moved to San Diego and then Phoenix. But by this time, the stress of the public eye had taken its toll. Kathy's relationship with her family weakened as she tried harder and harder to come to grips with her past.
As a kid, I used to lay out and I look at the clouds, and I talked to God. I could see God in the clouds. I was involved in the choir at church, and I'd just bellow out. I remembered how I felt with that. Always talked to God. And then as I got older, I moved away. And now I didn't know where I was.